Dave Palumbo here in Las Vegas, Nevada at the 2014 NPC USA Championships. Here with Chris, the technician, Aceto, and the finals have just wrapped up, Chris, and we have a new men's overall champion in the way of Nick Trigili with a slightly controversial outcome.
Yeah, he got the win, and he's got to walk away really happy because it could have gone, either way, obviously, in the class. And it could have certainly gone either way in the overall.
Let's talk about the overall for a minute. Clearly between Nick Trigili in the super heavies and Frank Stinson, your guy you helped, the heavyweight class winner, both guys got pro cards. Actually, all the class winners got pro cards in bodybuilding, so that's a great thing for them. But the overall was tight. Nick Trigili came back a little softer tonight than he was yesterday. Had trouble winning his class. We're going to talk about that in a little bit. But, a lot of people in attendance thought Stinson had the overall. I mean, Flex Wheeler said it. Chad Nichols said it. I know you thought it. Chris Cormier said it. I actually thought that Stinson could have won it. Dennis James said it.
I got the list, guys. I'll put on in my Instagram right now.
What do you think clinched it for Trigili? Was it his just overall structure and size?
I mean, it certainly wasn't condition and muscle detail and muscle separation and density and graininess. I mean, that's being sarcastic and hard, but those are attributes that Frank brings. So if those don't count to win an overall, then you just have to go for, quote, thickness and bigness. So I would say that his the height or weight or structure, something played a role. I guess what would you say clinched it?
Interestingly, it was a very close. It was a close call. Dennis James and I were talking, and actually the middleweight guy looked almost better than everyone is from a polish standpoint. I think Frank, had the better shape and structure and conditioning, and I think Nick was just bigger. He was a bigger version of Frank, and I think judges went big tonight.
I guess that's the way it went.
Let's talk about the super heavyweight class because, everyone was saying Trigili after prejudging, and then Trigili comes back softer tonight, and they rejudge the class, and John Ward has a very good shot of winning that super heavyweight class, and ultimately he might have won the overall. Talk to me about what you thought went on in that rejudging.
I think that what happens at a lot of these shows 24 hours later, I think Trigili had decent condition and prejudging, and when he came out on the night show, he just looked extremely watery, like there was nothing compared to what was there in prejudging. And it sounds like an exaggeration, but a lot of things can happen in 24 hours, and they worked against him. That 24 hours worked against him, where John Ward, I know he had stomach issues in prejudging, which I thought put a big damper on his.
A little distension.
Yeah, he had some distension, and weird distension. It wasn't lower, it was like upper, in his upper stomach. He didn't have that at the night show. He was tighter at the night show. He was fuller at the night show. He was more aggressive at the night show. And we were watching it, and we thought, wow, this he might win the show. But
he was my species athlete. I wanted him to win, But I think Trigili's structure really, talk about structure again, clinched it for him in that super heavy class.
Yeah, but interestingly enough, they said at some point, or the announcers said that it's an extremely close decision, or they
had to rejudge it.
Yeah, that they're rejudging the night show for the supers. So it certainly wasn't a walk away in the class, and it certainly wasn't a walk away. For the overall.
Trigili.
But a win is a win.
He did work hard. When the history books talk about it, he will be the winner. Yeah, but sometimes it's nicer to win when it's close rather than when it's a blowout.
I would always prefer a blowout.
But afterwards. I'm talking about.
I know.
It's a nail biter when you're in it.
It's a nail biter when you're in it, and a win is a win. And he is the overall USA champion, and he's. I'm sure he's worked his ass off to get where he is.
Stinson, interesting story is that he was a super heavyweight last year, was fourth at nationals. You got a hold of him, and you had the audacity to tell a super heavyweight you're going down to heavyweight.
Yeah, it was Obama has the audacity of hope. I had the audacity of stupidness. I actually, at some point, a competitor told me, and it really clicked. He said, Chris, there's a big difference between supers and heavies. And I kept on looking at Frank's physique and thinking, he looks spectacular, and he can win the supers. I think he can win it, or he can be right there, or top two, and top three. And then the more the show got closer, I was thinking, well, why not just try to drag him down? And he had to really, really gas it towards the end with the cardio and the no carbs.
You did a great job with
it. To get him down. And, to his, credit, he's got the crazy that even if he's flat, it looks full. So, which was a huge advantage for him. Whereas, if he didn't have the great structure, if you dragged him down a class lower, he'd just get lost and he'd look small.
Let's talk about the light heavyweight class, where I believe after prejudging, you and I thought Thomas Lenahan had it, even though his coloring was really bad. He comes back, his coloring is worse tonight, and he's softer. And Caleb Blanchard wins the class. He beat him last year. He beats him again, and he goes on to get his pro card. Good decision. It
was a good decision, even though I didn't have Blanchard in the prejudging. But at night he was, again, 24 hours later. Unlike Trigili, who went backwards, he went like leaps and bounds forward. He was much crisper, fuller, tighter. And it showed at night. I mean, he had really a lot of detail in the.
He's a little on the small side, but he's got great detail though.
I thought he looked small in the prejudging. That's why I had him second. Yeah. I didn't think he had enough roundness and capness, but that again, that illusion when he came in night so tight, it gave the Chris Angel illusion of having more mass.
Well, Thomas Lenahan will move on to the North American, try to get his pro card there. His wife, Andrea Lenahan, one of my clients, got her pro card in the women's physique class C, so congratulations to her.
Amazing.
Let's talk about Brian Balzano, who wins the middleweight class. Dennis James and I thought that Balzano might have won the overall because his glutes, he was like a piece of granite, this kid. Here's a guy who's been training with Mike Francois, someone that you trained years ago, and he's done 2 shows. He won the Mike Francois Classic, novice and open overall, comes in here, gets his pro card first time. Is this another Seth Feroce?
It's ridiculous. It's what is ridiculous. Yes, he's another Seth Feroce because these guys, he looks young, like when Seth came onto the scene, and they don't know what's going on. You know what I mean? They're like, really, they're just putting their heart and soul into the sport, training their ass off, dieting like crazy. They have unbelievable genetics. Their bodies come out like super fresh and hard and dense and rugged looking. And next thing the kid knows, it's his second show, and he's up there, and he decimated the class, and he's killing people who have been at this for a long period of time. So it's got to be happening too fast.
He'll be a great 212 guy.
Yeah, he'll be a great 212 guy. He should. If I was I would just go into the Tampa right away.
Oh, you think so?
Why not?
At 176 pounds?
176 pounds. At the very minimum, how much does Farnsworth weigh? One point. You know what I mean? The point is he would have, if he can replicate that condition for a pro show, at least he knows, okay, where I measure up, where I stand. I mean, if he makes top 5 and they say, you've
been throwing people in pro shows very quickly lately.
Yeah. Well, it's because Cedric told me this was an Olympia. He bamboozled Frank and said, if you win the overall, they're sending you to the Olympia.
Let's talk about women's bodybuilding. Not a big, huge class, but some good quality competitors. Alicia Young, 29 years of age, wins the women's heavyweight and overall. She had a baby 18 months ago, Chris. She's got an enormous amount of muscle. It's funny because, there's the people that have trouble putting muscle on and get lean real quick, and then there's the people who have an easy time putting on muscle, but they can't get lean. She's the opposite. She cannot get lean. She puts muscle on really easy. Her husband told me, or her boyfriend, whatever, told me that she walks around at 190 all the time, just like, casually. Here she is. I mean, she blows away the lineup. I don't even know where she was. The last time she competed, I think she was like last place, she told me.
I thought you were going to say she has an enormous amount of drive and ambition. To have a baby 18 months ago and to be able to, get back into not only shape, but winning shape, best in the country.
I got a better overcoming obstacle she got. She was arm wrestling with a guy in a bar, and she felt bad for beating the guy. I mean, look at her arms; they're pretty big. So she let up, and he slammed her hand, and they pulled the victim.
A victim.
She got a spiral fracture of her humerus.
DAV, pull a victor, and she broke it right.
And she has a huge scar on her tricep, so that was a huge thing she had to come back from. Yeah.
You don't arm wrestle anyone, do you?
No, not anymore.
You don't do anything with the knee in terms of wrestling?
I don't do any kind of wrestling. That's dangerous. Laura Richards wins the light heavyweight class in the women's bodybuilding, gets the second pro card. Her brother was in the show as well, and she's trained by Dylan Armbrust.
All in the family. We were talking about all in the family before.
She actually started in figure, went to fitness, then to women's physique, and then she finally found her home in bodybuilding, and now she got a pro card after 10 years.
It's amazing to see some of the tenacity of some of the competitors who, they've been around the block. They're 10 years competing and getting a pro card. It's most people will give up third or fourth try. And it just hats off to people with that type of dedication.
In the women's physique division, the Class C champion Tonya Hawker also wins the overall, gets her pro card. card. Chris, they give out 8 pro cards in women's physique, the top 2 in every class. Tonya Hawker beats a really good lineup. You know, I don't know if I agree with I didn't really think that she was the best personally. To me, she looked more like a woman bodybuilder. She actually had a lot of muscle in her body. It seemed like the judges liked that muscle look today in the women's physique division.
I think every 6 months we're seeing some type of small progression in terms of, what the preferences for women's physique, and it's keeps swinging to the right a little bit, meaning a little bit more muscular, a little bit more detail, especially in things like glutes and hams, where at the beginning it seemed like we prefer it that way. So, whether it be the nationals or a local show, that seems to be the natural, positioning of what is the desirable look for women's physique, and it's fine with me so long as it doesn't keep pushing way to the right.
Some of the girls look more the way I would like to see it, a little streamlined. Some of the girls were a little bigger. Hawker wins tonight. That's the overall decision. But we got 8 new pros, and I bet you some of those other pros might even do better than she does in the pro division. But the women's physique division obviously is growing. It's bigger than women's bodybuilding now by quite a bit. And I think I don't know where it's going, but I think that eventually this will be the division for posing.
I agree, and it's you're just seeing a lot of people with good physiques. Some of the people who are winning 2 years ago and 3 years ago wouldn't even, they just
wouldn't place anymore.
Wouldn't place in a show.
Let's talk about men's physique. Ryan Hinton wins. 8 classes of men's physique. It took about 3 hours to do prejudging. There's like 40, 50 guys in a class. For
all
a guy,
look impressive.
For one guy to come out on top, it's just like a miracle. And these guys come up to me in the lobby and they say, "What do you think I need to do?" And I'm like, "I don't know."
Yeah.
There's so many great guys up there.
Well, there's so many great guys. And there's not a lot of variables. I mean, you can dissect who should win the men's overall bodybuilding all day long, and people have their own personal preferences.
You're splitting hairs with men's physique.
Yeah, that's right. With men's physique, it's really difficult to judge because there's not a lot of action on the stage.
Sure.
And there's only a couple poses, so for me it's harder to judge right now men's physique than any other division because
Absolutely.
There's so many,
and there's so many guys too,
and there are a lot of good guys, and there's a lot of good guys who have no distinction from the guy they're standing next to.
True. In the figure division, Angela Yamashita wins the overall as well as the Class A. Very rarely do you see, Chris, a short girl win the overall. She's from the Big Island of Hawaii, the one that we don't go to usually. Have you been to the Big Island?
I have not been to the Big Island. I just went to Maui. And
she was a farm girl, she told me there.
Wow, what a place to be.
Then she moved up. Now she moved to Oahu. That's like going to New York City.
Big city. Yeah.
She looked great though.
I've been to. Yeah, she did look great.
I like to see the little girls win. It's like the underdog, So congratulations to her. In the bikini division, Jamie Delangelo wins the overall as well as her height class, gets the IFBB Pro card. But better than that, Chris, I made a bet with Dave from Muscular Development Magazine, a $10 bet. And you know that I don't make bets unless I'm going to win, right?
Yeah. So did we win?
And he said that Brina Martinez, who was one of the class winners, gorgeous, absolutely beautiful, dropped the body. You would think that she's got the greatest body of all time. She's got ripped abs, tiny, tiny waist. And he said that there's a guarantee, he guarantees she will win the overall. And I said, there's no guarantee. I said, because the prettiest girl never wins the overall.
That's right.
And I won.
And you won. What did we wager?
Not to say that all the girls aren't gorgeous, but
did you wager him or did you wager the entity of the Marcus Welby website?
No, I actually wagered him, so he had to give me $10 out of his pocket, and he did pay. So thanks, Dave.
It still comes through. It doesn't come out of his pocket. It comes out of someone else.
Both girls look great, actually. Actually, all the overall bikini girls. Probably the bikini division is become the most competitive. Those girls are in better shape than some of the bodybuilders.
They know how to strip off body fat, and I saw Flex Wheeler here and Chris Cormier, and that's what we were talking about. And you and I always talk about
burn the body fat.
Burn the body fat off, and the bikini chicks. They're chicks. They're certainly not men. Yes. They know how to burn the body fat off, and same thing. If you look at like 18 months ago versus now, a lot of these girls know how to burn it off, but still keep their shape, their lines.
Nick Trigili and Frank Stinson surely do burn the body fat tonight. They're both IFBB pros. Trigili wins in a nail biter. For now, though, we are out of time. I'm Dave Palumbo with Chris the Technician Aceto for RxMuscle.com.